One second. So yesterday we were discussing Rothera's test for acetones. If you remember, I told you in urine you will generally find three kinds of acetone. If obviously this is in case of abnormality, the acetones that you will see abnormally will be acetone, beta hydroxybutyric acid, and diacetic acid. These are interchangeable. So if you reduce what you call beta hydroxybutyric acid, you will get acetoacetic acid. And if you decarboxylate acetoacetic acid, basically you remove a carbon dioxide, you will get an acetone. Right now, still people are coming in. Right. Now, yesterday we went over the causes. I told you some of the causes that can cause ketonuria. Ketonuria is basically ketones in urine, right? This is the most important part. This is the functional group of ketone. If you can see my cursor, the C double bond O group, that will represent a ketone, right? When we were discussing the introduction to carbohydrates, we came across two types of sugars, which are what we call ketoses and aldoses. If you remember, one had an aldehyde group, which was CHO, your glucose and all are glucoses, right? And we came across ketosis as well, which had a C double bond O group, right? Now coming to how you test for that. Okay, basic principle is whenever there is acetone or acetoacetic acid in the urine, once you add sodium nitroprusside. Sodium nitroprusside is a very specific chemical. It's a complex chemical. Acha, you don't need to know it. You will get it as a red colored crystalline structure. Okay, so red colored crystals. So when you add sodium nitroprusside to urine, what will happen is color change. You'll get a purple colored ring formation, you'll see shortly. Through this test, you'll not be able to what you call detect beta hydroxybutyric acid, though. You can only find acetone and acetoacetic acid. For the beta hydroxybutyric acid, you'll need Hart's test. So we'll go over that after this, but hold on. There's someone trying to come in. Uh, Please add this number. One second. Mm, Hold on. Hold on one second. Mm, hmm. Right. Sorry about that. Someone was trying to come in. So in any case, so Rothera test basically relies on the change in color. If you have acetone or acetoacetic acid in urine, it will immediately turn purple. So how do you do that test? Now what you do is you take 5 ml of urine in a test tube and you saturate it with ammonium sulfate. So you need what do you call uh, alkaline urine for this. You cannot have acidic urine for this. Now if you remember, I told you yesterday normal pH of urine is around 4.5 to 8. If it is already alkaline, it is fine. Agar nahi hai, to you have to, in any way, it is better to saturate it with ammonium sulfate. Once you saturate it with ammonium sulfate and it has become slightly alkaline, what you do is you add one small crystal of sodium nitroprusside and mix the test tube. Right? You shake the test tube a little bit, and after that you add a little bit of ammonia, so that you can barely, let's suppose a couple of drops, so that you can carefully tilt the tube in a way that it forms a what you call layer on the what you call urine sample. Basically what you are doing, dekho, if you see this test tube, we are taking a negative, this it's here, it's showing negative control, meaning negative control does not have any acetic acid or acetone. Okay, it will only have sodium nitroprusside and it will only have urine without acetoacetone. That will give a negative reaction. All right, if you want a positive reaction, you should have acetone or acetoacetic acid for it. Now in this, what you do is you will take the test tube, put a little bit of urine in this, and you will add ammonium sulfate. You will make it alkaline. Add one crystal of sodium nitroprusside. After that, you mix it and add 1 or 2 drops of ammonia. Uh, pass the you pass the drops through the side of the test tube. So basically you pass it through the wall of the test tube, so that once it is meeting the liquid which is already there in the test tube, the urine and ammonia sulfate mixture along with nitroprusside, what will happen is you'll try to make a small layer of ammonia on top of that urine layer. Okay, instead of just putting it inside, you try to skim it through. So you will try to put a small layer of ammonia on the urine solution. What will happen after this is sodium ammonium sulfate, solid ammonium sulfate and sodium nitroprusside, both of them will precipitate and go down. You will get a purple ring on top and you will have liquor ammonia. So basically ammonia will be left on top. In between these two layers, you'll be left with a purple ring. If you want to see a better image, it looks like this. One second. So it will look like this basically. So see here, if there are no ketone bodies, you will get a negative reaction wherein obviously you do not have anything. Now, if the same case, if you have Rothras powder, ammonium hydroxide and acetone in that, meaning it is ketone positive, meaning that urine has ketones, what will happen is the top, the lighter brownish color that you see, the creamish color that you see, dark cream, that is ammonia. In between them, you will get a purple colored ring that will indicate presence of acetone. At the bottom, you will have urine, and obviously at the very bottom, completely down, you will have sedimented particles of sodium nitroprusside. All right, I hope that explains the test. If you have any doubts, let me know. Basically, that is the test, how you perform Rothras test. You take a test tube, add a bit of urine, make it alkaline, add a little bit of sodium nitroprusside, and slowly, carefully, you put a little bit of liquid ammonia so that it will just skim the surface of your urine. It will just form a layer. As soon as that ammonia touches the solution of urine and sodium nitroprusside, if urine has acetone or acetoacetic acid, immediately a purple colored ring will be formed. Here, negative control basically means that that urine sample did not have any acetone or acetoacetic acid. That is why you are not getting a purple ring. Okay. So obviously the positive reaction will be formation of purple ring at the junction of the two fluids. So as soon as ammonia interacts with urine, you will get a purple ring. And sometimes you will get such a huge reaction as well, right, depending on the amount of acetone present inside, acetone or acetoacetic acid. Right. I hope that explains Rotherhas test. If you have any doubts, let me know. Now, coming to occult blood in urine. So basically, you are testing for blood in urine or RBCs in urine, RBCs or hemoglobin in urine. Normally, they should not be present. Here, because of some problem, they are present. So generally speaking, that condition where hematuria occurs, this hematuria is basically blood in urine. That is the literal translation of hematuria. uh, when you tell a patient has hematuria is when they have 5 or more intact RBCs per high power field. So what is high power field? Once you take urine and you magnify it a lot, so almost what you do is you magnify it 400 times or something than normal. Okay, then your normal eyesight, you magnify it almost 400 times. So you see a very small section of urine. In that, if you are able to find 5 or more intact RBCs, not broken, intact RBCs, that condition will be hematuria. Okay. So basically what you're doing, you're taking a little bit of urine and you're magnifying the urine to an extent that that is 400 times than normal vision. Okay, once you do that, you go very minute because of that. Once you do that, if you are able to see 5 or more RBCs, that condition is hematuria. You're basically trying to detect for that. Hold on 1 second. Hey guys, sorry about that. Someone was at the door. So in any case, yeah. Coming back to someone asked a doubt. Ketone both are present, and जिसमें नहीं yellow color it will only present in ketone. So basically, a negative reaction. I am guessing that you are asking when will we get yellow color and when will we get purple color. See, if there are ketones in your urine and you perform Rotharas test, then you will get a purple color. Okay. If there is acetone, these are the only three types of ketones that you will find in urine: acetone, acetoacetic acid, and beta hydroxybutyric acid. Okay, other than these three, you will generally not find until and unless you have a very abnormal condition. So these are the three forms of ketones that you generally find. If they are present, you will get a positive reaction where you will have purple ring. If there is no ketone and you perform Rotharas test, you will get a negative reaction where the urine will be yellow in color, like the normal urine. It will not change color as such. Sodium nitroprusside naturally is red color. Okay, वो crystals red color के रहते. So you might have some intensity in yellowish. Okay, if you dilute red color a little bit, it can become yellow. So क्या बोलते हैं, once you mix that, you will have a negative reaction where you only get a slightly darker color of urine but no purple ring formation. Okay, I hope that answers your doubt. Anyone else have any doubts? Cool. Chalo. Right, coming back to this thing. Yeah, someone had a doubt. Iska microphone on tha. You were trying to tell something. Someone just spoke through a microphone. I don't know which one of you. Okay, ठीक है. Coming back to finding red blood cells in urine or finding hemoglobin in urine. So what you do is, I just told you how hematuria is defined. If you have 5 or more RBCs in one high power field, so high power field will be a small section. What causes hemoglobinuria, or what causes hemoglobin to be present in urine? That is hemoglobinuria. Hematuria is blood in urine, or specifically, this is a broader way. Hematuria will be RBCs or blood in technically blood in urine. In that specifically, you have categories. You can have hemoglobinuria, or you can have albuminuria, any particular protein of blood that is present in urine, or just hemoglobin present in urine in excess amount, obviously. Okay, so what causes hemoglobinuria is one, malaria. Directly, if you know, I'm not sure आप लोगों को intermediate में पढ़ाई नहीं पढ़ा है, but plasmodium vivax का life cycle and all was there in intermediate. I'm not sure if it is still
Yes,
there or
sir.
not. If
है
you
sir.
है, okay, I'm not sure
है
पूरों को
sir.
है नहीं है, state syllabus में तो है तेलंगाना के. I'm not sure about the other states. In any case, what happens in malaria is plasmodium vivax comes and it destroys your RBCs. Okay, it will destroy your hepatocytes and it will destroy your RBCs. It will basically start growing in your RBCs and growing in your hepatocytes. It will have different phases in your body. Okay, totally is it is a sexual phase. In that also you have different phases. Because of that, your RBCs will get destroyed and they will start being excreted through your urine, as well as some intact RBCs will come along the way. That also will cause hemoglobinuria. If you have breakdown of RBC, you will get the components that are present inside RBC. You know, the most important component inside RBC is hemoglobin, the component that carries your what do you call oxygen. Okay, that is how malaria causes hemoglobinuria. Then there is hemolytic streptococcal septicemia. So basically a streptococcal infection. आप लोगों को streptococcus हुआ शायद ना microbiology में, or at least you must have heard about streptococcus, right? It's a gram-positive bacteria.
Yes, sir.
Right. So
Yes,
there
sir.
is a particular type of streptococcus that causes septicemia. Septicemia is basically sepsis. Okay. Sepsis in blood is septicemia of hemolytic kind. So basically, your RBCs, your blood cells are getting destroyed. That is why it is hemolytic type. Okay. It is lysis of your what you call hemoglobin in a way, but it is all of your blood cells. All of them will get affected. Particularly, your hemoglobin and your RBCs will get affected, but this will also cause, if you have ever heard hemolytic type of anemia, this will be similar to that, but due to bacterial infection. Okay. Then there is incompatible blood transfusion. So if someone is giving blood to someone else and they are incompatible, you have to match a few factors before giving it. I'm not sure आप लोगों को immunity हुई नहीं हुई, but there'll be a few factors that you match before you perform any blood transfusion of any kind. First of all, blood group तो रहता ही, but other than that, MHC factors, all of that you have to look into. Okay, they have to match. At least 3 out of 4 you have to match it. They have several criteria anyway. Will not get into that. But if they are not matching, meaning that it is incompatible, and you perform a blood transfusion, that can cause hemoglobinuria. Because what will happen is, the new blood that you give, your body, let's suppose I have person A and person B. Person A is donating blood to person B, and they are incompatible. Okay, person A's blood is incompatible in person B. What will happen is person B's body, who is accepting the blood, whatever foreign blood is coming inside, it will think this is a foreign body because it is completely incompatible. It will start destroying that blood, that new blood, basically the components of that new blood. That is how you get hemoglobinuria, in the incompatibility way. Okay, then there are a few drugs that can cause sulfonamide and phenylhydrazine. Sulfonamide particularly is a type of antibacterial. Okay. Now these can cause that. PNH is a specific chemical, will not get into it. PNH तुम लोगों को है भी नहीं कैसा भी. So PNH can cause hemoglobinuria as well. ठीक है. Coming to the causes of hematuria, what causes hematuria? This can be again divided into renal, post-renal, or general. So it can be a problem in the kidneys. It can be a problem what you call occurring before kidney or before the entering the kidney. Okay, causing a problem in the kidney. So it can be, for example, if it is a problem in, sorry, post-renal. So if it is a problem in ureter, or it is a problem in urinary bladder, or it is a problem in prostate, either way, यहाँ पर there is one kind of blockage basically. उसकी वजह से you are not having what you call proper urine flow, which can cause damage to your क्या बोलते हैं, अब समझो, for example, let's suppose ऐसा आपका urinary bladder उतारा, and just for vertical example sake, okay, imagine this is your lower urinary tract and they are blood vessels. Okay, let me draw blood vessels in a different color. Let's suppose these are the blood vessels that are supplying this part. Okay, what is happening here is because of some blockage. Let's suppose the blockage is like this. Let's suppose there is blockage here. What will start happening is this fellow will start bulging. Okay, and the components of urine will start leaking out of this because of excessive pressure. What will happen, some components of, okay, hold on, I'll do urine in a different color. Let's suppose someone has pink urine. Okay, so these components of urine, not urine as such, but these components of urine, toxins and all, these are starting to get, again, this is again a hypothesis, and this is one way of happening. Okay, there are other ways as well, but initially it is starting off with a blockage. These components of urine are getting leaked out of this space and they are damaging the blood vessels around here. Okay, ultimately what happens is, once the blood vessel is damaged, that will cause components of blood to get damaged as well, because these urinary components will start entering your blood. During this period of time, what will happen, extensive damage to the components of your blood will occur. Ultimately, once this blood reaches kidney, you will get more destroyed components from blood. For example, अब समझो मेरा RBC है. Okay, RBC is normally chilling around in your blood vessel. Okay, it is doing its normal function and all of that. Now, whenever there is a blockage of this kind, what will happen is, let's suppose uric acid is the poison in this case. Uric acid or urate crystals or something like that is interacting with the blood vessel and ultimately damaging these RBCs. Okay, so let us do damage like this. Let me draw a small line. See, the white line that you see. Okay, I'll do a different color. White will the black line that you see, that is the damaged RBC basically. Okay, so these damaged RBC, when they are getting filtered out in your kidney, now obviously this blood ultimately at one point of time will reach your kidney. Yeah, okay, hello. uh, so at one point of time, this fellow will reach your kidney and get filtered out. In this condition, what will happen is, you will start having more and more damaged particles of your blood being secreted in the same urine, because it is starting from the blockage here. I'll repeat again, here it is starting with the blockage. This blockage will cause what you call improper flow of urine. Even if it is not complete blockage, let's suppose it is not like this and it is like this. Okay, let's suppose the blockage is like this. Okay, so what will happen, ultimately you are decreasing the gap through which your urine can flow, wherein it will start damaging the blood vessels around it and it might start leaking out. This damage will be what you call, finally what will happen is, blood obviously will go through your kidney at one point of time where it will get filtered, and these damaged particles will start increasing in your urine. All right, this is one way of that happening, the one of the simplest ways it can happen. But I hope you understand that. Okay, right, coming back to this thing. right? Those are postrenal causes. Now your calculus ले लो या neoplasm ले लो. Calculus is directly a what do you call uh, calcium like. Basically क्या होता, think of them as kidney stones. Okay, they are basically kidney stones. Once more sir, अच्छा, someone didn't understand. Okay, one second. अब for example I'll take here another example as well. Neoplasm ले लो या TB ले लो या cystitis ले लो. I'll explain both of them together. uh, okay, scenario one, let's suppose this is a part of your lower urinary tract, the ureter, and you have, sorry, urinary bladder, and you have the ureters and so on and so forth. One particular part, okay, any one part. So you are coming down obviously from your kidneys. ठीक है, यहाँ से आ रहा. Please excuse the horrible diagrams. ठीक है, I'm not really good at this. So in any case, if you understand, that is more than enough. तो यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा? Let's suppose scenario one. Okay, there is a blockage directly in the passage itself, in the sense that there is a blockage like this. There is a calculus being formed. Okay, like this. Right. Calculus or several calculi being formed like this. Even if it is not blocking completely, what will happen is it is partially blocking or to a severe degree blocking the flow of urine. So let's suppose this pink liquid is your, imagine this pink color is your urine. All right, it is being filtered out of your kidneys and being sent here. All right, now what will happen is because of this blockage, this urine is not able to completely pass through. So what will happen ultimately, यहाँ पर this fellow will start getting accumulated. Slowly it will get accumulated. To a certain extent, what will happen, the what do you call, your urinary bladder and your ureters, they will let's suppose they will bulge. Okay, to a certain extent they can do that. They will have a little bit of leeway. Okay, let's suppose they are bulging like this and they are doing this. Okay, even still you have more and more amount of urine being, what do you call, being collected here or being accumulated here because of the blockage. Okay, at one point of time what will happen is the nearby blood vessels that are supplying your ureter, or they are just passing through. Okay, what will happen is because of this bulging, the cell lining here will start getting damaged. Okay, either key cell lining. So let's suppose your cell lining here, I draw a damaged cell lining like this. Okay, so if you can see this kind of damage, yeah, creating small gap. This is only an example. Okay, basically यहाँ पर damage create हो रहा. Now this damage, ultimately what will happen is the particles of your urine, these fellows can start traveling out and they can start interacting with the nearby tissues, nearby lymph nodes, nearby lymph channels, nearby blood vessels. Here specifically what is happening is once it is interacting with the nearby blood vessels, it will start damaging your blood vessels and it will enter your blood vessel at one point of time, causing damage to your blood cells. Let's suppose there is a nice RBC here flowing around and this fellow is going and damaging your RBC, any particular particle. Take urate crystals, take uric acid, whatever normal component of urine is there which is toxic, that is why you're throwing it out, and these are interacting with your blood, right? So the components of your blood, let's suppose this RBC got damaged. Okay, let me do damage in a different color. Let's suppose this fellow got attached with uric acid or something and it got damaged. Okay, ultimately if this reaches a point where there is extensive damage in your blood vessel, what will happen is, you know that your blood will anyway at one point of time will flow through your kidney. In 1 minute kaisa bhi flow hona hi hai, it will go through all over your body, so it will pass through your kidneys as well. In that it will, you know, it will get filtered, right? There will be an afferent arteriole, you will have an efferent arteriole, A and E both. One will take, one will they basically, one is exit and one will take blood towards the what do you call this thing, your kidney. So basically यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा, these damaged blood vessels or any blood particle, sorry, damaged blood particles that are being filtered here, these will increase in amount in your urine, right? Normally this should not be present because of this blockage here, right? It is starting with a blockage here. What will happen is these components are damaging the particles of your blood. Ultimately this, when being filtered out by your kidney, this fellow will have, your urine will have more components of your damaged blood cells. Okay, so damaged RBCs ले लो for example, यहाँ पर खाली RBCs की बात कर रहे हैं. So more and more amount of damaged RBCs will start getting accumulated in your urine. So इसमें क्या होता, you will start having, so this urine is basically coming here now again, but if you can understand, this is all starting because of this blockage. After this urine is causing damage to a nearby blood vessel, wherein the component of the blood vessels, nearby blood vessel, is getting damaged. When they get filtered out, that filtrate will ultimately end up in the kidney as well. So whatever comes out now, let's say a little bit of urine is coming out like this. Okay, let's suppose it is passing like this, and you collect this urine, you will be able to find high amounts of RBCs in that. Okay, so that is one way through which you can get hemoglobin urea, through blockage. Okay, I hope you understand this example. Okay, this is scenario 1. Scenario 2, let's take that same, okay, take that same urinary bladder, and ऐसा है for example, ठीक है, and I'm having a neoplasm nearby, meaning I have a cancerous development nearby, ठीक है. Let me do cancerous development in green. Okay, let's suppose this is a neoplasm and this is growing here. Okay, for now it is of this size. Finally what will happen is this fellow will grow like this in every which direction. So what is it doing? It is compressing this part. Now it can grow anywhere. Okay, it can grow here, it can grow here, it can grow inside as well, right? It can be a tumor inside your urinary bladder as well. So ultimately what is happening, this is also causing blockage. No, if you see this, what will happen to this fellow? This fellow slowly, because of being pushed, this fellow will get shorter and shorter and shorter. So ultimately क्या हो रहा, the diameter of your ureter is decreasing, right? Ultimately this is also causing blockage in a way, right? Either if you have a direct blockage like this, wherein it is like this, okay, or you have an indirect blockage which is outside, which is pushing your urinary tract. Either way you are having a blockage, right? Ultimately kya hota, the amount of urine that you are excreting, that will decrease. So even if you have this much amount of urine, you are only excreting, let's suppose, this much. Here urine will start getting accumulated, even more damage to surrounding cells and all of that, right? I hope this is scenario 2. Okay, I hope you understand this. Kaisa hua, right? Chalo. Now coming to renal, the problem directly in your kidneys. One is neoplasms, kidney, direct cancers in kidney, or it can be calculi, stones in kidney. Tuberculosis. Tuberculosis में क्या होता? There is a particular type of tuberculosis called secondary tuberculosis. TB जब होता है एक patient को, it will have three fates. Either it will stop, okay, at one point it will make scars and it will stop in your lung itself, or it will progress a lot in your lung itself, causing extensive damage to your complete lung. Or third scenario, where it will not just damage your lung, it will start damaging your other organs. That particular third type is your miliary TB. Okay, it is called miliary, MILIARY. Miliary TB may that, but what will happen is the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, those particles will start moving all around your body and they'll start damaging other parts. So it will go to your kidneys, it will cause what do you call, it will go to your liver, it will go to your brain, it will go to your spinal cord, everywhere. And once they go there, what they will do is they will make small lesions, small pimples जैसा imagine करो, but they will be like millets. दाल जो खाते ना आप, वैसे शेप की रहती, imagine तुवर दाल. Okay, I'm not sure what it is called in other languages, but तुवर दाल basically, I think it is green gram, I don't remember, some type of gram. Okay, Bengal gram, I think. In any case, you will see small dal shaped structures on your organs. Okay, that is why it is called miliary TB, that looks like millets. So this this in turn will start causing damage to your what do you call, kidney. If it is occurring in your kidney, okay, if someone already has TB and that is spreading to your kidney, then it will start causing damage to your kidney, where TB is causing what you call hematuria, right, because of damage of your kidney. Or pyelonephritis, where there is a bacterial infection. Or hydronephrosis, excessive amount of water being consumed and water being excreted. All right, so excessive water damage. Oxaluria, where what do you call, basically oxaloacetic acid and oxalates are being excreted in your urine and they are causing damage. Again, you don't have to memorize all of them or understand all of them. Okay, a few of them will be enough. You don't need to memorize all of them, because causes is for your understanding. Here the main important points will be tests. Okay, in your exams as well, you'll be writing about tests rather than the causes as such. Okay, this is only for your understanding what can cause this. All right. So you have a bunch of causes like this: renal causes, your cysts can cause that, post-renal causes where any blockage can cause that, or if you have a general cause where there is embolism. Embolism is basically a bubble-like structure being formed in your what do you call this thing, in your blood vessel. So basically it will cause blockage in the blood vessel. यहाँ पर अगर किडनी के blood vessel में blockage हो रहा, तो it will cause what do you call hematuria. Or malignant hypertension kidney. Malignant hypertension is a kind of hypertension where your BP is increasing more than 180. 180 by 100 से बढ़ के हो रहा. Okay, that condition is called malignant hypertension, where malignant इसलिए बोलते हैं उसको because it will start damaging organs, like direct damage होना शुरू हो जाता. All right. Now, how do you test for all of this? Now, those were the causes. How do you test for blood or RBC in urine? What do you do is you'll check the peroxidase activity of hemoglobin. Now, generally, what will happen is the peroxidase activity of hemoglobin, this fellow will decompose hydrogen peroxide, okay, and it will release oxygen. This in turn will oxidize benzidine, giving a blue color. So you will get a change in color, right? How you perform this test is you'll take a little bit of urine, 2 ml of urine, and you will add a 2 ml of 1% benzidine solution, okay, in acetic acid. So you have benzidine solution in an acetic acid ready, okay. You take that 2 ml and you add it to 2 ml of urine. Now if you shake it well and add hydrogen peroxide to it, if your urine has RBCs, immediately there will be a change in color, green to blue ho jata color. All right, so that is the test basically. What you are doing is you take a little bit of urine, you add 2 ml of benzidine solution in acetic acid, meaning that benzidine solution itself has a little bit of acetic acid mix in it. When you add this, shake well, you add a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. After you add it and mix it, in a little while, okay, a couple of minutes, you will immediately see a change in color. So after adding all of this, the color of that solution will turn from green to blue. This is a positive reaction for hematuria, meaning if the color changes to blue, it will indicate that the patient has more than 5 RBCs in what you call per HPF. So excessive amount of RBC, there might be some underlying cause. यहाँ पर when we went over the causes, see, all of these tests are being done so that you can suspect one of these causes. So technically speaking, this test will come before these causes, because let's suppose I have some patient, okay, and I am suspecting that the patient might have hematuria. What I will do is I will perform benzidine test. After performing benzidine test, I can narrow down in one of these, okay. It can be renal, post renal, or general. But if I don't know whether they have RBCs or not in the urine, I will not be able to narrow down the diagnosis to these, okay. So generally causes will follow your test, right? At least diagnosis will follow your test in that sense, right? Now those are the reagents, basically hydrogen peroxide and saturated benzidine. Glacial acetic acid or acetic acid. Glacial acetic acid is basically 60% acetic acid. All right, usko bolte hain glacial acetic acid. Coming to bile salts, how do you test for bile salts? Now प्राइमरी बाइल सॉल्ट्स अगर टेस्ट करना है, स्पेसिफिकली अगर CDCA है, कोलिक एसिड एंड कीनोडिऑक्सीकोलिक एसिड, ये दोनों जब कोलेस्ट्रॉल में सिंथेसाइज होते थ्रू योर लिवर, what will happen is they will conjugate with glycine and taurine. Glycine and taurine are amino acids, all right, and they are secreted through bile. This is what happens to bile acids. Now in your bile in general will have several bile pigments. I'm not sure आप लोगों को liver पढ़ा है नहीं पढ़ा है, but there are several components of your bile. When we are specifically talking about bile acids, there are two important acids that we check for: cholic acid and chenodeoxycholic acid. These fellows, what will happen is whatever cholesterol is being produced in your body or which is circulating in your body, this fellow in your liver, this fellow will be conjugated with a few amino acids and it will be thrown out through bile, whatever excessive amount of bile acid is present. Same for what you call secondary bile acids. For example, your deoxycholic acid or lithocholic acid, what will happen to these is these are formed in your colon specifically. Yeah, these are metabolites of your bacteria. In your bacteria, in your gut, basically, you know, you have flora, right? So these will form your primary bile acids, where these will be metabolites of your bacteria. Your bacteria are secreting these basically. So what happens is sodium taurocholate and sodium glycocolate बना के उन लोगों को यूरिन में excrete कर देते those same acids को. How do you test for that? Meaning when there is an abnormality, there will be excessive amount of these. Technically speaking, they should be in very trace amounts in your urine. Normally, not even found. Okay, until unless your liver is not working properly or a kidney is not working properly, then you will be able to find it. Okay, so how do you test for bile salts or bile acids specifically? Is you do something called Hayes test. Okay, the principle of this test is these bile salts will decrease the surface tension of urine. Now, surface tension of any liquid is basically, uh, think of it in this way: if a liquid has high surface tension, it will be hard to get wet through that liquid. Okay, it will be very hard to latch on to other liquids. For example, अगर मैं अच्छा, if you do a small test at your home also you can do. If you take a small bucket of water and you try to gently put your hand on the surface of water, you'll be able to feel a little bit of tension. That is preventing your hand from getting wet. Okay, preventing you from dipping your hand completely inside. If you are very gentle with it, then you'll be able to detect this tension. But that is basically the surface tension of water. So different liquids will have different surface tension depending on what is the composition of that liquid. Now, how you test in Hayes test is, if bile salts are present, the normal surface tension of urine will be lower. Okay, as soon as bile salts come into picture, the surface tension of urine will become lower. That is why your soaps and washing soap or bathing soap, any of that, they will have detergents that will decrease the surface tension of water, meaning it will be easier to wash things with water once you have soap. So that is why you use salts in soap. Here, bile salts in general will decrease the surface tension of urine. All right, we'll continue with this tomorrow. We have less than 1 minute left. All right, I'll repeat this once again in case you guys didn't understand what is surface tension and what is surface tension of urine and what bile salts does anyway. Okay, see you tomorrow then. See, I hope you guys are understanding. If you're not understanding, please feel free to stop me at any time. I'm going at this pace because I'm thinking you're understanding everything I'm telling. If you're not understanding anything, I will not know unless and until you tell me. All right. By default, I'll think that you are understanding. Okay. Chalo, see you tomorrow
Yes,
then.
sir.